Number 1.
My name is Jeremy, and I live in California. Back when I was in 6th grade, I had a close friend. Let's call him Devin. Devin was a super energetic kid, and we would always laugh, joke around, and play ball at recess. Those were some of the best days until Devin, ruined it all. While I had a strong, healthy childhood and a great relationship with my mom and sister, Devin was not as fortunate. His mom was extremely irresponsible. She would frequently expose him to drug use, abusive boyfriends, and other horrific circumstances. Sometime in the month of May during the year this happened, Devin became prone to extreme anger. Every time I tried to approach him, he would always stare at me with the scariest look I had ever seen. One day, Devin never came back from recess. I was in the bathroom later in the day, and it sounded like some kid was laughing in the other stall, and there was lots of loud metallic tapping. I finished quickly and ran out of there. As I was heading back towards the kickball field, something big and hard suddenly hit me in the back of my head. I felt blood trickle down my neck. My vision became blurry, and I fell to the ground, unconscious. When I woke up, I found myself tied to a tree about 50 yards from the play area. My head had stopped bleeding, but was still pounding, and I looked around in a daze trying to figure out what happened and who had done this to me. I tried calling out, "Hey, this isn't funny. My head really hurts. You need to let me go to the nurse's office."
"It's all your fault. You've always had the nice life I never did, and I'm going to fix that."
The person who walked around from behind the tree to face me turned out to be none other than Devin. I stopped struggling and heaved a sigh of relief, realizing this had to be a bad joke. When I asked him to untie me, he bent over and smiled a deranged, sickly grin. He then proceeded to rant about how much he hated me and was jealous of my life, and how I had a mother who appreciated me and didn't treat me like an inconvenience. It was then he pulled out a kitchen knife he stole from the cafeteria, and I looked on in pure terror as he licked the blade like some kind of fucking psycho. I began struggling with all my might to get free, but he had somehow gotten his hands on the climbing rope from the gym, and there was no way I was going to break free against it. He raised the knife and swung it down quickly, slashing my arm and nicking the rope. I began crying, which only seemed to make him more upset. He threatened that he would hurt me worse if I didn't shut up. I began kicking and thrashing my body weight around in terror, until the tear in the rope loosened enough for me to get free. I rushed Devin and pushed him down, and started running for the cafeteria, screaming my teacher's name at the top of my lungs. As I was running for my life, I could hear Devin about 10 feet behind me, keeping pace with my sprinting. Fortunately, my teacher heard my cries, and she witnessed Devin chasing me into the gym. Once we were indoors around other people, I thought I would be safe, but he lunged at me, and we hit the wood floor hard. My eyes widened, and I suddenly felt time begin to crawl as he put his knee into my back and raised the knife again. In that moment, I thought I would never see my mom or my sister again. But suddenly Devin was grabbed from behind by the gym teacher and restrained. We were then surrounded by kids looking at us dumbfounded. The cut on my arm still bleeding all over the floor. I was taken to the nurse's office and questioned by the police, and Devin was eventually expelled. The school stopped the word about me being attacked from getting out, for fear of bad publicity. I learned from that day that you never truly know someone until you see the hatred in their eyes. I never saw Devin again, but I hope he got the help he needed.
Number 2.
This story contains elements of sexual abuse. I'm a 20-year-old woman, and my story takes place when I was about 8 years old in elementary school. I'm from Mesa, Arizona, and attended the same school from 1st to 6th grade. In the school I went to, it was a requirement to take music class every year. There was only one music teacher for every grade, and he had been teaching there for many years. He was a middle-aged man, heavy-set, with black and gray hair and a beard to match. I don't remember all the details of every situation that happened with him, since it was about a decade ago, but I do remember some really weird and specific things about him. I remember he was very talented with many instruments and would often play some of them to impress the class. I also remember we had an activity we would do before class where he would play music and would have everyone run, skip, and hop around in a circle. He would go around and poke us while we ran around. He would do this thing if you were wearing shorts, a skirt, or ripped jeans with exposed knees. He would come up to you and tickle your knees and squeal, "Naked knees, naked knees." I always hated when he did that. He was my teacher every school year, and even though he always weirded me out, he never gave me that rapey pedo vibe. We had these little plastic recorders we would play sometimes in music class. It's like a small flute. The school provided white recorders for us, but I had my own black recorder at home. So being the unique kid I am, I brought mine in. My teacher was excited to see that I had my own, and even asked if he could see it. When he took it, he started to play on it. Quite skillfully. He handed it back to me, and I noticed it had his spit all over it. So I went to go clean it in the sink, but when I started to go over and wash it, he yelled at me and told me to leave it alone and to sit down. I emphasized that I wanted to clean it off, and again, he told me to leave it. So I refused to play my recorder, and he sent me to the office for not participating. A few years later, in the 6th grade, I wanted to play the trumpet, so I decided to join band. And you can probably guess who the band teacher was. There were many occasions where he would pull up my shirt for me and tell me it was a little low cut for a young girl, or would touch my back, or again play my instrument and not want me to clean it afterwards. And if you play brass instruments, you know how gross that is. But I especially recall one incident that happened at band rehearsal. After the class ended, there were only a handful of students left, and a few parents left in the auditorium we practiced in. The teacher asked me to come with him into the music room to help him clean up, bring in chairs, instruments, etc. I brought some chairs into the room and helped put a few things away, but he then asked me if I could stay longer to help him clean up some more, even though everything was pretty much done. I don't really remember anything after that. Nothing at all, actually. I always thought I said no because my parents were here or something, but I honestly don't remember what happened. For years after that, I know I had a lot of issues that young girls shouldn't have. I suddenly became addicted to watching porn on my computer. I would make my dolls have sex with each other. And I started going to therapy after my mom found my Ken doll with the crotch completely melted. I don't remember being molested or raped, but I have read that traumatic memories can sometimes be blocked out and completely forgotten. Fast forward several years later, I got the news that my old music teacher had been arrested for child molestation. A girl I knew from my old band class came forward and said he had molested her in the band room when being asked to help clean. After she spoke up, a few other people came out with more allegations against him as well. He was found guilty and sentenced to 15 years in prison. I have links for the articles about his arrest. The article says attempted molestation, but he was eventually convicted. Mr. Lamanika, I don't know what you may have done to me, but I hope I never see you again. The article mentioned in this story can be found in the description.
Number 3.
Keep in mind that I am a female, and this took place when I was 21. This encounter still scares me to this day. I used to work at a Subway, mostly during the night shift, and as some people know, some pretty interesting things are known to happen during the night shift. This particular shift was most definitely the worst. I was working alone during the closing shift one night. This old man who looked to be about 80 years old comes in and starts asking for a meatball sub, but asks in a very heavy Swedish dialect. So obviously I couldn't understand him very well. The language barrier seemed to irritate him, and he attempted to teach me a bit of Swedish for the sake of the order. I tolerated the short lesson and made small talk with him, as it's part of my job, and he pays for a sandwich and leaves. Nothing too bad, right? Wrong. He starts coming in every single night, even on nights that I didn't work, and would always ask for me. If I wasn't there, he would try to get my coworkers to give him my work schedule, and would only ever permit me to make his sandwiches. He would ask my coworkers to text me whenever he felt like telling me at any given moment. They would act like they were doing it, but what they were actually doing was texting me that he was there, and that they were getting pretty creeped out. Luckily for me, it was against Subway's policy to hand out people's work schedules or personal info. The instances where I actually was there, he would come in and get the same thing, but started telling me things like how pretty I was, and how if I was just a few years older, I would be his type. He would then proceed to share with me what he did to himself at home, while thinking of me, and the weird things he would do to his sandwich. These miserable attempts at flirting with me would continue for hours, even if I had other customers. Remember, this guy looked like he was over 80 years old. I told my manager about the situation, and she wasn't much help at all. She would just check the camera from her phone every couple of hours while she sat at home, to make sure he wasn't bothering other customers, I guess. I eventually went to my area supervisor, and he said if this guy showed up again, I was to call the police. The following night he comes back in, but unfortunately I couldn't get to a phone. He had a crazed look in his eyes, and I was afraid of what might happen if I tried to do anything with him in front of me. So I just made his sandwich and told him that I had other things to do, and he had to leave so I can attend to my duties. He then thankfully left. I told my area supervisor again what happened, and he banned this man from the store. The next week, he comes by right as I'm locking up, and I struggle to hurry with the gate as he's talking to me. At this point, I'm visibly shaking, and I'm hoping he doesn't touch me as he was inches away from my face. He was so close to me that I swear I could smell what he ate the day before. I proceeded to tell him, "You have to leave me alone, sir. You've been banned from the store. If you don't leave, I'm gonna have to call the cops." He glares at me and says, "I see what kind of fucking person you are. You're just a fucking bitch, just like everyone else around here. I thought you were different." By this time, I had fastened the lock shut and started walking away when he shouts, "Oh, by the way, once you're done calling the police, why don't you go ahead and fucking kill yourself?" I ran to the car and called my mom and fiancé and told them what happened. After that, my fiancé walked me to and from my car and sat in the restaurant with me every night. I also started carrying a taser, a pocket knife, and pepper spray to protect myself at work. I won't go anywhere by myself anymore, and anytime I see someone that looks like him, I start to freak out and cry. About 3 months later, I left that job. I was too scared to be left alone anymore. I later found out that not only had he stalked me, but the female workers at Walmart as well. He would find out where their cars were parked and leave things he found in the garbage as gifts, along with creepy-ass love notes. I also found out that he would hop from subway to subway and do this to whatever female worker he chose. I hope I never see him again. He would then proceed to share with me what he did to himself at home, while thinking of me, and the weird things he would do to his sandwich. What the fuck is he doing to his sandwich?
There's always a reason to be afraid.